Welcome in to Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps. Got Jerel Hendricks back on the board tonight. And guys, we are back with another season of high school football. We're here tonight for our 1A, 2A, and SCISA season previews. We'll be back later on this week with 3A, 4A, 5A. Tonight we'll talk about some of the lower classes there. But John, it's been a quick offseason, it feels like. We've had a lot of changes, a lot of coaching changes. You had a reclass, just lots going on here to kind of get us back now to the regular season.
Yeah, it's like completely new regions and really new teams and different classifications that, we're going to talk about the top 10 poll that just came out, the media poll. Number one on that list is Abbeville. Abbeville's a two-way school in my book. So, there's a lot of school, well, not a lot of schools, but there's a handful of schools that have changed classifications. And it's, I think it's a big uh-oh for some schools, and it's going to be a big uh-oh for a lot of other schools to have some of these schools in their class now.
If you guys tune in for the first time, we really appreciate you. Check us out here on Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS, our website, movinchains.com. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Don't forget, we go live during the season on every Tuesday night about 7:15 with the live preview show. Talk about that week's biggest games, along with a statewide look at all the games we have going on. A lot of really good stuff coming out. Like I said, a preview show later on this week, a week 0 preview show next week, along with some more coaches interviews and whatnot. But John, let's go ahead. Actually, before we do that, buy some MTC merch. Yeah, get you a hat. Get you a hat. Support the boys. Got some great Richardson hats, Richardson 112 stuff, really quality stuff. Got some hoodies as well for those cold weather games, a nice gray, a nice white, really high quality stuff. I love wearing my hat, and my hoodie feels great. Definitely check us out. You can see the email address there. You can reach out to us there or send us a DM here or on social media, and we'll definitely get back to you, get you hooked up with that stuff as well. But John, let's take a look starting off at the 1A ranks. Jerel, as always, feel free to pop in comments as we go, and we'll kind of break down that classification.
Yeah, I'll start at the top since I kind of spoiled who number one is. So getting all the votes, all the first place votes for number one is Abbeville. Second, Bamberg Earhart. Third is Louisville. New head coach for Louisville this year. 4, Johnsonville. 5, Lamar. 6, Blackville Hilda. 7 is Calhoun County. Lakeview is 8. Latta is 9. And Cross comes in at 10th.
It's hard not to have a 1A poll and have Abbeville number one. Based off of their success they've had at 2A over the last, 50 years? I mean, it's not a flash in the pan. They're always good. They've got quarterback DB DeMarcus Leach, the South Carolina commit. He's back running the show there. 2 running backs, Carson Norman, Jalewis Haddon. Really good players. Has played a lot of football there for Coach Nichols' squad. Abbeville is going to be a heck of a ball team. Didn't quite make the deep run they wanted to last year. I believe they lost in the upper state final. Is that correct, John?
Yeah.
But definitely a good football team there. A team that I like a lot. I think it's going to make a lot of noise this season.
Yeah, I think so too. And, one thing that you notice about these polls too, there's no mention of Southside Christian, Christchurch, St. Joe's, that Greenville region, really. Those guys are in higher classifications now. So we'll get to that later. Christchurch won the state championship this past year. They're not in 1A this year, so we're going to have a new champ no matter what in the 1A classification.
Yeah, the next couple teams on that list, Bamberg, Earhart, and Louisville, 2 teams that have had a lot of young talent the past couple of years, a lot of names you'll recognize, still there, still ready to make some noise. Bamberg, Earhart with Coach Crosby, year, I believe, 3 there with him as the head coach. Chanston Crosby, a North Carolina Central commit now. He plays the quarterback spot, had 3,300 yards passing last year, 25 touchdowns. Marcus Cannon is a good player for them as well. Louisville, you mentioned the new coach, Trent Usher, taking over for Leon Bull, where he's been the DC the past 2 seasons. They have weapons galore. Guys like Tay Robinson, Ja Howes, Jordan Strong, Zach Rogers, Peanut Harris, defensively led by J.B. Buchanan. Some of those guys there, they are loaded. The one thing they do have to figure out, John, new quarterback. Ian Grissom transferred over to Rock Hill. Got to fill that spot there, but lots of talent as always with that program. And Bamberg, we know what they are. Them coming out of the lower state, I think got a really good chance to win that. And then, it comes down to Louisville, Abbeville right now. It looks like they're in the upper state.
Yeah, and again, oh boy, it's hard to go against Abbeville. How good they've been at 2A.
Yeah.
Now coming down to the 1A level. But, you talk about Bamberg, Earhart, Johnsonville. They played for that lower state championship last year. Really, really two good programs. Johnsonville has really come alive. I'd say the last 2 to 3 years, the flashes have been really good. But, I thought 1A was pretty impressive last year where we had, Big Cross. They had a great season last year. Ladd had a great season last year. Lakeview, they seem to be right on the cusp. I think they're going to be a really, really good group. Calhoun County's always good. Lamar, you always got to count on Lamar being a good football team. I think 1A, Abbeville is way up here, but I think 2 through 10 really, really close together.
Yeah, a couple teams in the poll that I think may be a hair too high, and it's a team that I've been super high on. That's Johnsonville. You lose Malik Shippey, a 4-year starter at quarterback. I know you've won back-to-back lower state titles, but that's a lot to replace there. You lost your go-to running back there. I believe Landon Martin is also gone. They do have a couple guys coming back. They've got a young quarterback, Larkin Powell, going to step in there. Three offensive line starters back. That's big for them as well. And then they've got defensively, they will be led by, I can't find the name, I just lost it. Defense led by Landon Cripp, 118 tackles last year, 19 tackles for loss. Tyshawn Brown, also a good player at safety there. That Lamar squad, I'm very high on them. Coach Burris, year 2, was a Ridgeview offensive coordinator previous to this, had a really good squad last year, had an injury in the playoffs to the quarterback that really hurt them. Zori Pierce, he's back. Zoom Jackson, great name there. He's back at receiver. He's a heck of an athlete for them. And they've got a lot of depth up front, too, which I like, led by Kendall Walton, offensive lineman that's gotten offers from a lot of really good schools there. They're going to have a great squad, it feels like there. I believe they have 16 starters coming back. And Lamar, we know they always have playmakers. They're a team to watch, I think, in 1A.
Yeah, they're going to be really fun to watch. But do you agree is it Abbeville and everybody else, or someone else got a good chance?
It feels like the Panthers, they bring back a lot, and that we know they can win at the 2A level. I mean, you think they've got to be the favorite. I mean, they have to be. But there are some teams that I think can make some noise. Another team I really like that is a little bit lower on the poll than I would like to see them, Blackfield Hilda. Jaquel Holman, South Carolina commit, really good football player. Namir Anderson on the defensive side, he's a great player as well there for Coach Jones' squad, a team that I believe they were the last public school left in the upper state last year, had a really nice run. They're going to be an outstanding football team, a tough out for anybody there. On the back end of that poll, John, Cross, they're always tough. Big Cross, you got those guys down there with running back Carmelo Jones, linebackers Preston Fuller and David Wigfall. They've won 11 games in a row, 11 games in a year, 2 years in a row. Really impressive there for Coach Wright and what he's done with that program. Lakeview, I mean, how do you not talk about Lakeview in 1A? They're a prohibitive favorite, really, really good talent there. Quarterback Casey Herlong, running back Tyrell Foxworth, both 3-year starters. Strong up front on defense. Have to replace a lot on that secondary. That worries you a little bit, John. I do want to mention these teams that were in the others receiving votes, too. If you have any thoughts on those. We have HKT, Denmark, Olar, Branchville, McBee, Dixie, Green Sea Floyds, Hannah Pamplico, Whitmire, and Great Falls. Any other teams that maybe didn't make the top 10 that you like or you want to shout out here as we kind of finish up this 1A ranking?
Well, I was impressed with Denmark Olar last year. They showed that they were a little bit up and down, but they did show, was it Bamberg that they beat early in the year?
I believe so.
They showed that they can be, when they've got it put together, they can beat, if you beat Bamberg, you can beat anybody. Denmark Olar's one that's really on my radar. They weren't really on my radar last year. This year, I'm going to be keeping a little bit of a closer eye on them to see if they can maybe get a little more consistency and turn that corner a little bit better.
Yeah, playmaker Terrence Hinton there. New coach William Razor is replacing Javaris Littlejohn, who went to Lugoff Elgins as the DC. That's a big replacement there. I was watching back it's funny, I watched our preview show from last year for 1A, and the team I had as a sleeper last year, I think I might have as a sleeper again this year.
Oh, okay.
And that's in the PD area, Hannah Pamplico. Did not have a great year last year, had a lot of injuries, lost their top quarterback, running back, and receiver at one point, but those guys are coming back. Wade Poston at quarterback, a 3-year starter now. Jamarcus Williams, as a sophomore, John, ran for 2,000 yards. Last year was on pace for that, got hurt. He's back. He's healthy. He's a really good player there. 7 starters on offense, 6 on defense back. I mentioned they went 3-8, but that's a kind of an outlier, kind of a misnomer there due to the injury. I think Coach Woodbury can make that group a really dangerous bunch this season. A couple of teams I do want to mention: Wagner Sally, new coach Blaze Gillespie, Zamian Capers is back, Isaiah Garner, Rayfield Bell, Kyrie Tyler, a lot of good playmakers there. Quarterback battle with Rayvon Chandler and Gavin Starnes happening right now. I think that's a good squad there. They could be a one to watch as well in the 1A ranks.
And I'll throw out one more team that hasn't been mentioned yet that I think is a team you should definitely watch as well. Baptist Hill. They were another team where I feel like they played everybody tough. Pretty good ball club. No mention of them in the receiving votes or anything like that. But that's going to be that's a team that's going to be a tough team. That's the same region as Cross as well. That'll probably be. That could be for the region. That Cross Baptist Hill game.
Yeah, a couple of teams I do want to mention here for all our Atlanta Vikings fans, our friends there. I do want to mention them. Lost a ton from last year. New quarterback, new running back coming in. But Coach Eisman has done a fantastic job building that program up. You should see what they can do this year with some new pieces going in there. They're going to be strong up front, which is always nice to have at the 1A level. But got to find goal playmakers there to step up. And then also, not a team that I think is going to be a state title contender this year, but a really neat story. Great Falls new head coach Savell Newton. That's really cool there. I don't know what to expect from them. Last year they had some attrition late in the year, had to cancel a couple games. Guys weren't wanting to play, whatnot. Really exciting hire for them with Coach Newton. That's a team I'm interested to see what they can do this year. Will they be a state title contender? I don't know. Probably not in year one, but I think he can make some noise and really make that program just be somewhat of a competitive bunch this season.
Yeah, we talked about it before on the coaching carousel that a huge thing about Louisville and how they've been so good lately is the depth.
Yeah,
if you can just rally some support and get some more guys out on that football field to give you more bodies at that 1A level is that's a real game changer to be able to do that. And, not have everybody playing both ways for 48 minutes.
Yeah, another team that I do have as a potential dark horse, that's Carver's Bay. They're a team that's been really good in the past in that 1A ranks. You mentioned all the guys that have come through there, the Gathers over the years. They've got another big-time prospect, Zion Giles, the P5 guy up on the offensive line, really good. Him and Bakari Bryce, really good up front. New quarterback, though, Christian Simmons. Running back Kennard Hayward ran for 1,000+ last year. They got some nice pieces there. Tough region, though. I believe they're in that region with Johnsonville and those guys there. So not going to be an easy one to get out of, but I think they've got some pieces to make a nice run there. Jerel, any comments that, I was kind of going through a lot of people there. Any comments I need to mention from the chat or, anything that you want to throw in as well on the 1A ranks? Peyton says Ware Shoals will be a lot better than many expect. Interesting to hit, Ware Shoals, I think this is year 2 under the new coach there who came over to those guys. They had a couple decent games last year. Weren't really what people thought they were going to be. I've heard some good things about them. I'm excited to see what those guys can do this season. Louisville, Lamar, same region. Yeah, that was surprising to me. Lamar has been one daydream that's been upper state, lower state, back and forth a lot over the years. Those guys playing the lines will be a super fun ball game this year. Says you guys got your quarterback. I'm looking forward to that. I know when we talked to Coach Usher, so there's a couple guys that are working out there. Interested to see where they go and how that turns out there for the Lions.
You guys got it well covered, man. You guys did your research this all season, so it's a lot of fun. I just got a couple points with 1A, man. Looking at the poll, number one, the cool thing about it is you have 10 teams obviously in this poll, but then you have 11 teams receiving votes, so that just shows how competitive it is. Like once you kind of separate, I think Abbeville, of course, is the clear favorite there. But once you look at there, you have 20 teams, vying for the top 10 where, voters around the state think that they have a competitive shot. And that leads into my second point here. John touched on it early. I mean, you don't see Christ Church, you don't see St. Joe's, you don't see the private schools. What an opportunity for these guys, to make a deeper run. Obviously with the private schools, they have kind of dominated here. They move up to 3A and things like that. But I'm really excited for these 1A schools to have an opportunity, to make some deep runs in the playoffs. And, I want to point out too, you don't really have an excuse. I mean, you do have Abbeville coming back, but now hey, you can't use that anymore. So if you want to go get it, you have to go after it. And it's going to be a great opportunity. Excited to see 1A football this year.
For sure. A couple of teams I didn't mention, but obviously, we can hold that for next week's preview show, of course. But any other comments in the chat, Jerel, we need to mention here on the 1A ranks? I know we've got a couple fans popping in here, so if you want to give them a shout out real quick, if you can, feel free to pop them up there.
Yeah, I got a couple comments, first show of the year. So
Chevron, good to see you, man. We'll have Gray talk about them in the 4A ranks here on our next preview show.
And of course, we got Bradley.
Bradley, appreciate you, man, as always. Looking forward to those Indians again. They'll be really good in the 5A ranks as well.
But that's all we have for 1A. If you guys have some final thoughts here, we can move on to
Perfect.
pay some bills.
Do y'all want to go ahead and make some predictions like now, or circle back at the end of the show and do everything at the end?
Let's do it right now.
Okay. Who wants to go first?
Ooh.
You said you were ready, John. You said you were ready.
Oh, I said let's do it now. Not necessarily ready.
Okay. I'll go then if you want me to. I think in the upper state, like, I love this Louisville team. I really do. But it's hard to pick. I really love Louisville and Blackfield Hilda in the upper state. I think those are both really good football teams. But I think it has to be Abbeville as your favorite right now. Until we see something different on the field, I think they've got to be the prohibitive favorite. Lower state, that's where it gets a little tough for me. I think lower state, is Bamberg's to lose at this point. So I'm going Abbeville, Bamberg, Earhart right now in the 1A final.
Oof. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I agree with that. But I'm going to pivot a little bit and say I think Lamar gets to the upper state championship game against Abbeville.
Okay.
I think Lamar's going to really break through this year. I think that could be, and depending on where that game is, that game's at Lamar. Yeah. I mean, that's another thing. Abbeville is so good, but there's some of these schools that are really, really good as well. You get them at your home field, who knows what can happen. Yeah.
Jerel, who do you got in this 1A rank?
Oh man, put me on the spot, man. It's so
you gotta do it.
Obviously, with Abbeville, you gotta love what they bring to the table. But I feel like the upper state is kind of stacked when it comes to top level teams. You mentioned like Blackfield Hilda, Lamar. How that flips. I don't like how sometimes that goes. I really like Lamar, really like Blackfield Hilda, obviously really like Abbeville, but I think you have to stick with Bamberg. It sucks to kind of go with the trend there, but I think Bamberg and, I think Cross, man, they always have athletes. They always seem to figure it out. Like you mentioned earlier, 2 consecutive 11-win seasons in a row, man. They're poised for a breakthrough. I like the Cross team as well.
Yeah, that lower state has been run by Johnsonville the last couple of years. They've had some close games against these guys like Bamberg and Lamar and whatnot, but they keep winning. Yeah, Dejan, you're right. Denmark, a lot of athletes down there. I think they had some injuries or players leave last year, something like that. They really hurt them, but they're a good squad. Yeah, Louisville, Abbeville certainly could be the upper state title game. Would not surprise me one bit. Jerel, let's get a quick shout out to some of our friends of the program. They will look at the 2A ranks.
Facing unexpected expenses and need a quick play? A personal loan from Founders Federal Credit Union can help you cover costs and get back in the game. With competitive rates and flexible terms, a personal loan from Founders is the winning play. Whether it's for a big purchase or an emergency, we've got you covered. Visit foundersfcu.com/personal to get started. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. Okay, let's take a look down at the 2A ranks now. And guys, if you're just tuning in, you missed 1A, you can always go back and watch it. It stays on Facebook and YouTube. It'll be on our podcast as well later on. So obviously, you can go back and watch it if you did miss 1A. But let's take a look down at the 2A classification now. John, look at that poll that just came out today.
Yeah, a lot of new names in this one as well. Number 10, Andrew Jackson. Number 9, Manning. 8 is Saluda. 7 is Philip Simmons. 6, Fairfield Central. 5, Barnwell. 4 is Strom Thurman. 3 and getting 1 first place vote is Hampton County. 2nd and getting 7 of the first place votes is Clinton. And number 1, the Cheshire Cyclones, getting 9 of those first place votes.
This poll, as we stated earlier, not our poll, the Prep Writers poll, the media poll, may not agree with it sometimes, like in 2A here. I don't know how accurate it is. But, hey, we do our own poll. It'll come out later on, usually week 3 or week 4, once you've seen these teams play a little bit. I love Chester and I love Clinton. I mean, I feel like that's kind of almost two you got to put up there because they're coming down. They're historically really good programs. Chester, led by quarterback Trooper Floyd, I think it's his 3rd or 4th year starting now. Head coach's son, moves well, has really grown into being a better athlete and growing into his body last year. He's a really good player there. They've got a new running back that looks really good as well there for the Cyclones, but they did lose some key pieces on defense at linebacking core especially, but they're going to be good. Clinton, a team that has been a perennial contender the last few years under Corey Fountain. They do a great job there. The quarterback, Tyshawn Richardson, is back. He can throw it and run it. Really good athlete there. Brett Young leads them on defense, the linebacker spot. He's done a fantastic job there as well, including, they have a bunch of starters back on offense, including the entire offensive line. And with that offense that he runs, kind of a Jamie Chadwell-ish kind of offense out of the pistol, shotgun, some option stuff. Huge to have that back. They're going to be a contender for sure, and I think they certainly should be in the top 2 in that poll.
Yeah, I am really, I think I like this poll a lot. I think this one's really good. You look at everybody in this top 10, you go, ooh, they're pretty good. Ooh, they're pretty good. Yeah, I think I don't know if Andrew Jackson's got it. I don't know if they're rounded out enough to be like a top 5 team, but they are very good. But Manning, we've seen, has been getting better. Saluda, we know, is always very good. Philip Simmons is they have become a great program very quickly now as well. I agree. I think this is set up pretty well. But yeah, it's hard to go against two bigger programs that are coming down in Chester and Clinton here in 2A. That's what's kind of scary for the rest of 2A. But you look at everybody else. I mean, I think it's going to be incredibly competitive. There's some really, really good teams. Hampton County's really good. I think Strom Thurmond's going to be really good again too. I know they've lost some big pieces, but that's a program. That wasn't you have good teams and you have good programs. They are a good program.
I do worry a little bit about the 3rd and 4th team there in Hampton County and Strom Thurmond. Like I mentioned, losing a lot. Hampton County quarterback Chris Terry is back, but you have to replace a ton of production from Zion Dobson. He was a Mr. Football Finals last year, I believe it was, had a huge year there for the Hurricanes in year 1 of that program combining. A lot to replace there. I do think they will be good under Coach Hanna there. Strom Thurmond, we know they've got athletes, we know they got talent, just who is going to step up? You mentioned you lose a guy like Braylon Staley and Tolan, and you lose your quarterback, you lose all these guys, lots of production to come up with. I do like Josh Merriweather, really good defensive lineman there. Playmaker Deontay Phillips, Sewell out wide as well. Shaheed Williams, the wide receiver DB, I like as well. They've got some talented pieces. Just need to see them step up and do a little more than they did last year for those guys. But they will certainly be there. A team I am high on that 5th spot. I love this Barnwell squad. Head coach Brian Smith, year 2 there. Lots of returning pieces. Cam Austin at quarterback, a South Carolina baseball commit, really good player there. Jaquan Peoples, Logan Sturkey, are really good playmakers out wide for them. They've got a lot of talent there. Edie and Thomas and Zizit at the linebacker core can really get done on that side of the ball. I think they're in for a deep run. I mean, they just brought back Dwayne Garrick as a coach now. Since he retired from Aiken, he comes back over to Barnwell where he was previously. Interesting hire there for those guys, but I think he's going to bring a lot of juice to a Barnwell team that, knocked off a Marion team in the playoffs last year. People didn't see that coming. Yeah. They had a good squad last year. I think they got a lot of those pieces back. I think the Warhorses can make a deep run.
Yeah, I think Barnwell is they're another team right in the mix of it all here. They got ousted by Oceanside in the playoffs last year, but incredibly good team. Barnwell is going to be right up there too. I am, when you go to that next spot, 6 at Fairfield Central, I'm a little bit worried about the Griffins because they lose their quarterback, I believe, right?
Yep. Transfer it out to South Point.
Yep. And he was a really, really good player for Fairfield Central. His last name
McMillan.
Cam McMillan. Yeah. Yep. Got to talk to his mom and dad at the game. Great, or his dad rather. Great guy. It's going to be tough to lose him. He's a really good player, really good athlete. But he wasn't the only athlete on that squad. They got some really good players, but he was really the glue. So it'll be interesting to see how that team looks with a new quarterback, and having stepped in some pretty big shoes for McMillan as well. So I'm a little bit worried about Fairfield Central, but again, you're saying the same thing about Hampton County. You're saying the same thing about Strom Thurmond. That a lot of these teams they're good programs, but they are replacing some big pieces.
They do have Tydarian Greer back, really good playmaker out wide, along with Jaden Boyd's a really good speedster for them. So they've got those pieces back, but a lot to replace, like you mentioned. Another team, a lot to replace. Philip Simmons lose, I think, both their running backs from last year graduated. Do have quarterback Tavian Oriana back. He'll be asked to do a lot more than he had to do last year. Probably got to throw a little bit more than what he did. But he's been a multi-year starter now, so he'll have some experience there. Colton Kellerman, Cooper Webb out wide. They're a team coming down from 3A. Yeah, Allison, you're right. Lost a lot of pieces there. This Philip Simmons team is interesting to me because they're a team that was a competitor in 3A the last couple of years. I thought if anything, they might move up. Surprised to see them come down to 2A. They could certainly make some noise there. Interesting to see how that shakes out for them. Saluda, you worry a little bit about their depth as well. JT Lott's a big-time player. Coach Young is actually replacing both coordinators. See how that shakes out early in the year. It might take a little bit to get used to those guys there, but the Tigers always have a solid squad. Manning, led by Jerel Mitchell, there at the 9th spot. He can make some plays for them. Andrew Jackson at 10, a team that I do worry about. You lose Trey Thompson. Cam McGill's a good player on the defensive side of the ball, but what can Coach Jeremy Smith in year 2 cook up now that you lose your all everything back, a guy you've relied on for 2+ years, running the rock for probably 3,000, 4,000 career yards. A lot of production to replace there for the Volunteers.
Yeah, and I got to go to that Andrew Jackson Fairfield Central game last year, and the offense revolved around Thompson. They looked like they could throw the ball downfield, and I don't know, maybe they just had a bad game. They just weren't quite clicking downfield passing game.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do a little bit more of that this year without Thompson. I don't know who they've got coming in behind them, but that guy was a hammer. To replace him 100% is pretty unlikely. But again, this is an AJ program. Last few years has been really strong. What was it? Maybe 2 or 3 years ago, they demanded us to talk about them because they were that good. They were playing that good of football. They're another one. They've got a really big piece to fill. But I think Andrew Jackson and Saluda, I am a little bit worried about. And a lot of that is depth and just having, because we look at this, you look at Chester, you look at the other end of the top 10, you look at how much they've got coming back, how much experience they have, depth that they have, and playing at a higher level, last year as well in 3A, that it's hard to go, they're going to be even. You think Chester and Clinton are going to have a real heads up toward the teams that are on the backside of this top 10.
Yeah. I mentioned earlier that I wasn't the biggest fan of this poll. I think it's because some of these teams in the receiving votes, I am very high on. Other teams receiving votes, we had Jerel, 96, Timberland, Batesburg, Leesville, Marion, Whale Branch, Atlantic Charter, Chesney, and Andrews. Jerel and Andrews. We actually talked about these coaches recently with some previews there. Jerel, I think, is a legit top 5 team in 2A right now, if not higher. Had 17 all-region guys last year, John. All of them are back. Every single one. Nick Gordon, Justin Joint, just studs all over the field there for them. Crawford Poole at linebacker as well. Studs everywhere. Coach Poole does a great job there. They're going to be a very interesting team. They play a tough out-of-region schedule. They've got 2 5A teams, I believe. Conway, River Bluff. He wants to see how good they can be because he knows they have the talent there. I think Jerel is a team that can make a lot of noise in 2A this year. And Andrews, that offense they run, you don't see a lot of option anymore. And Coach Durham is one of the best at that. They are kind of transitioning more from the under center option to more of that Jamie Chadwell style now out of the pistol shotgun. But Brandon Cumbie is back. He's, I believe, a 2 or 3-year All-State player. Great to have him back. He'll be a great player for them along with running back A.J. Lee. 96 last year, I think, went 9-1 regular season, John, under Coach Bennett his first year. Did lose some pieces. Do have Zay King back at running back. That offense they run as well. Very run heavy under Coach Bennett. Definitely want to keep it on the ground. They can make some noise, I think. Batesburg Leesville is a team that I've heard a lot of talk about this offseason. People have been very high on them. I'm not, I haven't seen them myself, so I can't say, but I've heard very good things about the Panthers. Yeah, Chris, receiving votes for sure. The Panthers are a team to watch out for, I think, in the 2A ranks.
Yeah, well, what about Batesburg Leesville is, have they been able to gel yet as a staff? There's a lot of moving parts with the Batesburg Leesville program this off season, but they can put things together. They're an exciting team to watch as well. There's a lot of players here. And I think you mentioned Jerel. Mm-hmm. Where Jerel is, I think what is cool about them, 2 years ago, one of my dad's friends works, he's in Jerel. He goes there every game. He goes, "Man, we're going to be good in about a year or 2.
Yeah.
They know they've got the guys. It's just a matter of getting those guys some experience, getting them, it's hard to rely on a 9th grader and 10th graders to, win a ton of games for you. But once you get a little bit older, you get a little bit bigger, grow into your body a little bit more for these high schoolers. So, it'll be interesting to see Jerel. I think they're probably going to surprise a lot of people, or at least a lot of people in the media.
Yeah, I agree. Chesney is an interesting squad to me. New coach Brett Chapman went out from North Carolina, brings a winning tradition there. I think he'll be good. Blacksburg, last year, John, they were putting up crazy offensive numbers. I think they get 14 starters back, including quarterback Josh Sims, receivers Cam Cobb, running back Dom Odom are all back. They put up a lot of points. They can be an interesting team to follow this season. Along with Chesterfield, Coach Matt Quinn coming in, former North Augusta head coach, former Westwood head coach, really sharp guy on both sides of the ball. They've got Quay Clark at receiver, one of the better players in the area there. They can make some noise in that region too. I think, with them, Jerel, Andrew Jackson, they have a real chance to win a lot of ball games there. I think be a solid team in the 2A ranks. Any other teams I want to shout out and mention these guys? Marion and Mullins, both those guys. Tobacco Bowl there. Marion lost so much talent last year. I think they've got 6 or 7 guys from last year's squad that are now playing collegiate football at one level or another, which is really insane to hear for a 2A program.
Incredible.
A lot of new pieces coming in. See how they do. Mullins went winless last season under Coach Mark Lowry. But I think, and it's weird to say this, I think the fact that Xavier Leggett, the success he saw at South Carolina last year, may have helped that program. Like, kids can say, hey, this guy's from Mullins, worked hard, went to a SEC school. Now he's a first-round draft pick. I think that has really helped the program get some more kids to buy in. I don't know if they're going to be state title contenders this year, but I do think they win a couple games. I think they win a game I think they win their first game of the season. I believe in their first ball game. They've got a team that I think they will beat. I believe that's Scott's Branch. I like them, the Auks in that matchup. But interesting to see what he can do there, and if he can get that program heading the right direction, from where it's been the last couple of years. Patrick's Big XL. Yeah, I mean, the best commentary of anybody, in the NFL right now. I just put that guy on repeat. Let him talk to me. He's got a great voice, great character, man. Xavier is the man for sure.
Yeah, you can tell he's having fun. That makes it even better for the Mullins program, because you can look at him and go, man, he's one of us. He's not. I don't know. Yeah, I think I agree with you 100%. That gives a lot of guys some excitement and go, hey, man, I could do that too.
Yeah.
And it was cool to see. I think Xavier Leggett wasn't he doing some workouts or doing something with
I know
he was working out at the high school, right?
Yep.
Earlier this summer. So it's really cool to see him coming back too.
For sure. 2 more teams I do want to hit on these 2 right quick. Whale Branch. I know you've been howling them the last couple of years. They're going up to 2A. Interesting to follow there. Timberland, one of the better prospects in the state. I believe he's next year, 2026 guy. Offensive lineman Desmond Green. A lot of offers already. And then a new player in the 2A ranks, Atlantic Collegiate, a charter school out of Horry County. Don't know what to expect. This is their first year of varsity football. I saw they got receiving votes there. Have not heard a lot about them under Coach Ribbons, who comes from the Oceanside tree, but they will be a interesting team to follow the next couple of years for sure.
Yeah, and if they are, and we've seen new schools come on the scene and be pretty good. So I'm not going to jump to any conclusions and think that they're going to, not have it together just because it's year one. That's a tough region. That's region 7. You've got Manning and Marion both in that region as well. Kingstree also in that region too. So
Coach Smith does a great job there.
Tough region.
Jerel, any comments from the chat before we do our title predictions here in 2A?
Let's see. We got a jamboree question. You guys going to any jamborees?
Possibly. So there's a chance I may go to the one in Dillon. If I'm out of town this weekend, may go down to Dillon. If not, may head over to, I believe it is Chapman is the one I was looking at possibly. So we'll see what shakes out this weekend, but that's when I'm possibly going to on Friday night. Yeah, everybody back. Zach, you're right, for Clinton up front. That's really, really good to see. Running back core, replaced a couple guys there, but the one thing about Clinton, they've always had athletes who can run the football, especially the last couple of years. I'm sure they will find somebody who will take a bulk of those carries and have a big season for those guys.
I think the big thing for the Red Devils is, can they stay healthy? If they're healthy, hey, sky's the limit.
Yeah.
But they were as unlucky as anybody last year with having to deal with injuries. So hopefully luck will be on their side this year, and those kids won't have to do that, and everybody will get to play.
Yeah.
And you want to sit on the sidelines with a boot on your leg.
Yeah. Anything else, Travis? Go ahead.
No, that's it for the comments. No, I just wanted to add a couple things here. I think looking at the poll specifically, Chester and Clinton, obviously, I think they're going to be mainstays at the top, for the duration of the season. But I think it's going to be pretty fluid. Like you said, Kevin, I like a lot of these teams that are receiving votes. Like you mentioned,
right?
Like I think I like them better than, some of the teams that are actually in the poll.
The back half of that top 10 for sure, right?
Yeah, when you look at Jerel, 96, Timberland, Batesburg, Leesville, Chesney, Will Branch, Andrew specifically, I like them. I think you're going to see some teams sliding backwards. Thurman's got athletes, but replacing so much. Even a Phillip Simmons, they're replacing 2 1,000-yard running backs and a D1, DB and Troy Stevenson there. Haven't really heard much this offseason about Manning. What is Saluda going to bring to the table? AJ, not only do they lose their best player, but also I think that region is going to be way more competitive with the coaching additions and things like that. So, not just the loss of talent, but, what they're going to have to deal with there. So I think it's going to be very fluid, especially once we get into the first few weeks of region play with this 2A poll. It may completely flip from what we see here preseason.
Oh, yeah.
And I do want to mention this. I'm glad you brought up that region. We mentioned that region, I think, twice now. It's region 4 and 2A. That's the region with Andrew Jackson, Buford, Central, Sherrall, Chesterfield, North Central. That region we believe is going to be the hybrid one this year, where the 1 and the 3 probably go to one side of the bracket and 2 and the 4 go to the other side. But we don't know which one yet. And I think that's a big question that's got to be answered. If you look at the upper state in 2A, similar to 1A, I think the upper state in 2A has a lot of heavy hitters. You mentioned Clinton. We mentioned Chester. 96, Strom Thurman, Saluda, Batesburg, if they've got what we think they might have. So upper state is really, really loaded. Lower state, you like Barnwell, you like Hampton County, you like Andrews, Phillip Simmons. I think the upper state is a little heavier. I got more favorites up there. So I think if you're in region 4, you'd probably prefer to go to that lower state. I don't know if it's going to be the 1 and the 3 or the 2 and the 4 where it is. I don't know. But that would be an interesting shakeup here once the playoff brackets do come out here in a few weeks.
All right, guys, it's that time. So here we go.
Zach, that's the question. I think Clinton out of the upper state, I think they're the favorite there with Coach Fountain. I know they've made some deep runs in the playoffs, haven't quite gotten to that state title game yet. I think this year they do it. Now, who they play gets really, really tricky here. My favorite out of the regions 5, 6, and 7 is Barnwell. I like the Warhorses a lot. Now, the question comes in, is that region 4? If Sherrall gets sent to the lower state, I think Sherrall, Barnwell, those are the 2. But I just don't know how that region is going to shake up. And the high school league, of course, has not put that out yet, so I don't know. But I'm going to go right now just because region 4, I'm sorry I'm taking you guys out of this. I don't know where you're going. I'm not going to pick region 4. We're going to go Barnwell, Clinton, state title game.
Ooh.
I reserve the right to change that once we find out the region 4.
I'm going to go. I'm not going to be surprised if that game happens. I'm going to, just for fun, I'm going to go a little bit different. I'm going to say Chester coming out of the upper state going against Hampton County.
Okay. Yeah, Hampton County, year 2 of the program. I believe they went to the lower state final last year before losing to Oceanside. Yeah. Really good season. Mentioned the quarterback's back. You do worry about replacing Zion Dobson. He had a huge season, a North Carolina Central kid now. A really good player there. Jerel, who do you like in the 2A ranks?
Let me go Chester, since I picked Clinton last year. That's strictly the reason why I'm going with Chester here. I don't want to, I don't want Zach to beat me up in a parking lot or something like that for picking Clinton twice in a row and them not winning. So I'm going Chester there, and they're going to play. Ooh, go Barnwell. Let's go with Barnwell.
I got it.
Let's do it.
I like it.
Yeah, I wish we knew the brackets. I wish we knew how it was going to shake out. I think that would possibly affect a lot of things there.
Well, let me throw this at you then. And I think I know where you're going.
Oh God,
if Sherrall gets thrown to the lower state, would you pick Sherrall?
Quite possibly. I mean, I think it would be Sherrall and Barnwell. I think would be the lower state matchup that I would like to see. And I don't know who I'd pick right now, but I think probably the winner of that region 4, whether it's Sherrall or Andrew Jackson or Chesterfield or whoever, they will probably be, in my opinion, probably the second, maybe third favorite at that lower state. If I had to guess.
I think if it's Jerel, if Jerel has that kind of year, yes, I would reserve judgment on if it was AJ or somebody else. But that's me.
For sure. Jerel, any other? Jason says Manning is young. We're going to be the running team entering their plays. Yeah, Jerry Mitchell there does a great job quarterback running that offense there. Curtis says Sherrall probably wins that region. Yeah, I agree with you there as well. I think AJ just lost a lot. Chesterfield, year one under Matt Quinn. I don't know if they've quite got the playmakers they need yet to make a move there. I think Sherrall is a favorite in Region 4. Bradley said still some confusion about the multiplier rule. Did or did it not affect all schools? Some are saying all affected charges. No, it affected every school. Yeah, every school got the 3-time multiplier. If you had a kid out of your zone who comes to your school, they got counted as 3 instead of 1. So it did affect every school. Some schools were, 5A and they just couldn't go any higher. So it means you could say it technically didn't affect them, I guess, but it did. They were all thrown into the pot. It all counted. That's how they broke out everything. So it did affect everyone, correct.
And then Zach's pulling our 50-yard line tickets down there at Wilder Stadium when we want to go because I didn't pick Clinton, so it's my fault. I was literally trying to do him a solid and not pick them again.
You might not be welcome there, Jerel. Yeah. Honestly, if you just picked
I was honestly trying to do him a solid. I was trying to pick against him, reverse jinx it and trying to help him out. So I see how it is.
Yeah, your heart's in the right place. You're a big picture guy. This,
Love it. Well,
go ahead. Let's pay some bills, guys.
Yeah, shout out to our program sponsors here, and then we'll talk into the SCISA ranks, John.
Yeah.
Put Founders in the game and win big with our great rates. Whether you're looking for a loan or want to grow your money with a certificate, Founders Federal Credit Union can help you move the chains on your financial goals. Not a member? No problem. Visit foundersfcu.com to see if you qualify. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply.
Preferred Home Services. How can we make you smile today? Preferred Home Services. For electrical or plumbing, cooling too. Go, 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 Preferred.
John, let's look down at the SCISA ranks now. We don't have a state prep media poll for that, so we're going to use another publication. We said earlier we don't agree with some of these polls. These guys, you know what, John, just read it. Don't say who it's from. Just read them out, and then we'll just use that as talking points. Let's start with 4A here in SCISA and work our way down the SCISA ranks.
They've at least been brave enough to put out a poll, more than what I can say. Starting with 4A, we'll go top to bottom. So they do top 5. Number 1, you got Hammond. 2, Lawrence Manning. 3, Porter Gaud, 4, Northwood Academy, and 5 is Cardinal Newman.
4A and SCISA, has been Hammond's to lose, and that is still the case. They're 7-time state champs in a row. What are you doing against Coach Wheeler's squad? They had to be number 1. Quarterback Andrew Turner, running back Manny Johnson, watching Eric Croft there. Tight end Mike Tyler's a D1 guy. I believe he is committing next week to either Duke, LSU, or West Virginia. Really good offers there from Mike Tyler. He's a great player there. They've got some good defensive guys, linebackers Brewer, Lamont, and Drew McCall. They'll kind of anchor that side. They did lose a lot up front, but I still think they're probably the favorite. We'll find out a lot about those guys here in week 0. They play host to Christ Church out of the upper state, a 4A school now in the high school league, going down to take on the Skyhawks. Will be a fun ball game there. Who's the number 2 team you have there, John?
Lawrence Manning.
The team that played Hammond last year for the state title. New head coach, who's actually an old head coach, Robbie Briggs, coming back to that program, guy who took the Inter 2 state titles while he was there at the Swamp Cats. Also had a long career, successful career at Manning before that. Will First heading down to Robert E. Lee. Lawrence Manning, they've got athletes. They always do. I know there was some shakeup. We mentioned the new coach there. Some stuff went on behind the scenes. I don't know all the stories to that. But Lawrence Manning, I think, will be a contender again. I do think they are probably the second best team in 4A. A couple teams I want to mention. You mentioned Porter Gaud, J.J. Flood, really good running back, one of the better running backs in the state. He's a stud for them. Cardinal Newman, Corey Helms has done a good job there. They've had a lot of moving pieces, guys coming in, guys coming out. Hard to know what they're going to have right now, but they've been a really building program the last couple years, it feels like.
Yeah, and they got knocked out by Hammond in the playoffs, and they were very competitive. That was a 2-score game. And Cardinal Newman is certainly not short on talent.
Yeah. A couple more. Ben Lippin. Year 2 for Coach Bennett Weigel. Actually, year 3, for Bennett Weigel there. A program that's really grown. They do have to replace quarterback Javon Gilmore now at Gaffney. He's a big loss for them. They do have Jameer Crooks, Jamari Carmichael back as the playmakers there for them. Linebackers Drake Porter, Jordan Connors also back. A team I do want to mention, Heathwood Hall. New head coach Tymer Zimmerman, a former Marlboro County standout, a former Newberry College standout, Arena League legend, really can get it done on the field, and now he can get it done on the sidelines as well. They were a team that went 2-9 last year, John, but they were just ravaged by injuries. A lot of guys are back. Patrick Belt at quarterback's a really good player. He's probably a D1 guy for them. Power 5, top 10 prospect in the state. Honest Conan Banny, a defensive back. I got it right on the first try. You're going to love that. Conan Banny, Honest Conan Banny, really good player. He's going to be a Power 5 guy here. He can make some plays all over the field for them. I think Coach Zimmerman makes that Heathwood Hall team have a quick turnaround. I think they can make a lot of noise here in 4A in the SCISA ranks.
Yeah, I mean, in Heathwood Hall, that is just from what I know, the little bit that I've seen of Heathwood Hall. I mean, that's a very desirable place to be, and I feel like you can get the talent there that you need to be very, very competitive. And having Coach Zimmerman there, that's going to be more fuel on the fire for those guys. I think they are. If they're not there this year, they'll be there very close.
Yeah, the last team I do want to mention is Northwood Academy going up to 4A, year 2 for Coach Johnny Waters there. They've already got a big win on the season. They beat Beaufort last Saturday, I believe, in week -2, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. But they're 1-0 in the year. Garrett Cash is offensive lineman. That's a really good player for them. They are trending in the right direction, but I don't know if they've quite got enough talent and depth yet to make a deep run in 4A. John, let's look at the 3A ranks. Maybe we do all of SCISA, then we'll circle back into the state title predictions after we do all of these. Sure. But let's look at the 3A class now in the SCISA ranks.
So number 1 is Hilton Head Christian. Number 2, Wilson Hall, followed by Pinewood Prep at 3, Florence Christian at 4, and then Trinity Collegiate at the 5th spot.
3A is an interesting one to me. Hilton Head Christian, state champs last year, 3 in the last 4 seasons. New quarterback Reed McCollum coming over. Defensive players Harper Mitchell, Hamilton Butler will lead that squad. They do a great job there. They are perennial contenders, it feels like, there at the 3A ranks. Trinity Collegiate is an interesting one to me. They've been playing 4A football in SCISA for quite a while now. They dropped down to 3A, more fitting for the size of school they are, really. I think they will be a big-time contender. James Herbert, tight end, defensive end. Young quarterback Cade Mel, offensively, that line should be a strength of that program. I think the Titans could be a big-time contender there in 3A.
Now, let me ask you this. What's Wilson Hall? Play for the state championship last year.
They did. Head coach Adam Jarecki does a great job there. That option offense still it's tough to prepare for. You don't see it a lot. They did lose some key pieces. I don't know if they're quite as good as last year's team. I think if you couple that with the fact of a Trinity Collegiate coming down, a couple other guys moving into the 3A ranks there, I think they're probably not one of the 1 or 2 favorites, but they will be a solid squad as always. I want to mention also Pinewood Prep, year 2 for Coach Devontae Holloman there. Quarterback, safety, Allison Wyndham is back, along with linebacker Connor White. I think they'll be a team to look out for. First Baptist, year 2 for Coach Birch. Tanner Swisher, have heard good things about him this summer. He's been a good player for them. And then Northside Christian, that's an interesting squad to me. A team that is, I think, newer to the SCISA ranks, really made a pretty good run last year. Northside Christian did there. Running back Sam Burke, linebacker Zachary Gebhard, really good players there for that squad. And then Florence Christian, they have to replace Mr. Everything, running back, receiver, DB Jules Huntley. He moves on, but Coach Minton does a great job there. The Eagles, I'm sure, will be a contender this year. But 3A will be a lot of fun. But I think really Pinewood Prep, Trinity Collegiate, Hilton Head Christian, probably your 3 favorites there in the 3A.
Yeah, I like Pinewood. And I don't know why I said, well, they were number 2. I don't know. I just
overlooked them.
I blanked.
No worries. Moving down to 2A now, John.
Yeah, so the 2A poll for SCISA. Number 1 is Bethesda Academy. 2 is Clarendon Hall. Number 3 is St. John's Christian. 4, Orangeburg Prep. And coming at 5 is PD Academy.
Repeat that one more time. Sorry. The whole poll.
Number 1 is Bethesda.
Yep.
Number 2 is Clarendon Hall. 3 is St. John's Christian. 4, Orangeburg Prep. And 5 is PD.
I don't love this poll. I'll be honest with you. Bethesda, defending state champs, also getting a new stadium. So, hey, you win a state title, you get a new stadium. That's how it works these days. So good to see that there for Bethesda. I think they're going to be a good team again for sure. But outside of that, I think it's Bethesda, I think it's Orangeburg Prep, and I think it's PD Academy. I think that's your three contenders there in the 2A ranks, in my opinion. You know, Orangeburg Prep, year 2 for Don Shelley. He's won, I think it's 10 state titles in his career, maybe 11. Just wins everywhere he goes. He'll do a great job there. Hart Wiles leads that group up front, offensive and defensive line there. Tilden Riley, a tight end, is a really good weapon for them. Already has an offer from ECU. He's a good player out wide there for OP. PD Academy, quarterback Colby Richardson, a baseball commit to Coastal Carolina, really good athlete there. Wide receiver Miles Trussell, running back Tristan Heckman, wide receiver Jameson Rogers are all playmakers for them. Offensive line should be really good. A lot of guys back, anchored by Hayden Spivey and Keaton Cribb, Ryan Small and Judson Martin, big players on defense for them. Outside of those guys we already mentioned as well, they'll be key contenders for them. Need a couple guys to step up on defense for sure, but Coach King's squad is going to be ready to roll, I'm sure, for the Golden Eagles here in a couple weeks. But they're a team that I like a lot this season there in 2A. The other team, Jerel, I did want to mention Dylan Christian, year 2 for Coach Donnell Stanley.
Yeah.
Jackson Outler's back. Avery Sherman's back. 17 touchdowns for him last year. He's building something nice there for the Warriors. And then Thomas Sumter. They replaced 7 seniors. Max Moreno, a solid player for those guys. The Generals, I think, will be better than last year, but I still think it's really PD Academy, Orangeburg Prep, Bethesda Academy, your top 3 there in 2A, in my opinion.
And you know what's big for 2A is you lose Williamsburg Academy. They dropped down to 1A now, so they went to play for the state championship this past year. Don't have to worry about them now in 2A this year.
For sure. Jerel, any comments or questions to get to before we look down at the 1A ranks? Cam says thoughts on First Baptist.
I like First Baptist.
Yeah, year 2 for Coach Birch. I like him a lot. We interviewed him last year when he got the job. Really sharp, really exciting young coach there. I like Tanner Swisher at quarterback. I think the Hurricanes have a much better season than last year. We'll put it that way. I think they're heading the right direction.
That's all the SCISA comments we have so far.
Perfect. Let's look at the 1A ranks now, John.
So, as you may expect, Williamsburg Academy checks in at number 1 since they are dropping down from 2A to 1A this year. Number 2 is Patrick Henry. 3 is Lee Academy. 4 is Dorchester Academy. And 5 is Thomas Hayward.
Last year's state champs, Patrick Henry, I think they came in at 2nd in that poll there. They lost a lot, man. They lose both the Ferry brothers, Hugh and Forrest, who kind of led that squad there. It'll be tough to replace them. Williamsburg, Tyler Boyd, 2nd year as the head man, lost in that state title game to Bethesda in 2A last year. You mentioned dropping down now. They have to replace a lot of pieces. Teague Ward, Conrad Balder, Camden Moore, all out. Micah Balder is back, though. He'll kind of anchor them up front. Expect a lot from yeah, he's the quarterback. Sorry, Micah Balder. I think I had a typo there. But yeah, do have a couple pieces who have played some serious ball for them. They'll be big-time players. But I think Williamsburg is one of the favorites for sure. Outside of those guys, you got to mention Carolina Academy, new head coach David Rankin. Won a lot of football games at Robert E. Lee the last couple of years. Took them to the state title game last year. He moves over to Carolina. Dorchester Academy, that's a team to look out for. Went 9-3 under year 1. Head coach Michael Nelson there. John Wetzel, John Quattlebaum are back. They're playmakers for those guys there. Lee Academy, new head coach Will First, coming from Lawrence Manning. You should see what he can do. You know, replacing Deshaun Haddon. You got a new QB as well coming in. That'll be a some tough shoes to fill, but they've got talent there for sure, it feels like. And I think Buford Academy is a team that has made a lot of noise the last couple years in SCISA. You lose your 3,000 yards of offense last year. That's not easy to replace. But they are a team that's got a great coach with Coach Shuford. They know how to win ball games and to game plan and whatnot. They're a contender, but I like Williamsburg a lot in the 1A ranks.
Yeah, and I'm thinking Dorchester Academy. I'm want to believe in them to make a big move this year.
Michael Nelson won so many state titles at Holly Hill. He knows how to win. Had a big year in year 1 last year.
Yeah.
So, you think they've got to have a good program.
Yeah, very competitive.
For sure. Let's look down at the 8-man ranks now, John, and kind of go through that top 5, give our thoughts on that, and then we'll give some predictions for state titles and whatnot.
Yeah, for 8-man, at number 1, you've got Jefferson Davis. 2 is Holly Hill Academy. 3 is Richard Wynn. 4th is Wardlaw. And 5th is Lawrence Academy.
Familiar names at the top. JDA, Colson Lodeholt, he's back. He plays over the field. Nazir Void as well as a good player for them. Holly Hill, Ashton Souls is back. That's a big piece back there for the Raiders. Great to see him back in that uniform there. Richard Wynn, they lose a lot of talent. You lose Drew Spires. That's a tough piece to replace there. Did a little bit of everything for those guys there. They will be back, I'm sure. I don't know some of those names yet for those guys, but they will be a contender when it comes down to it. Lawrence Academy, Quarterback Ethan Collins got some experience as a freshman last year. Murphy and Willard running the ball. Had a young group last year, really hopefully to take that next step there, led by Bell and Overton on defense. And then Warlaw, quarterback, athlete, Colton Bailey. He's a really good player for them. I like him a lot. They're a team to look out for, I think, in the 1A ranks.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go against Jefferson Davis. I don't know enough about 8-man to say, hey, somebody is way better than they are.
Yeah.
We still got to see that 8-man game, though.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it.
We'll get one of those.
Jerel, any comments or thoughts from you? Jason Soros took a phone call, Miss 4A. Yeah, run through the rankings again. Yeah, read off those 4A rankings again right quick, John.
And so this is not an official poll. It's just one that we found just for fun.
Yeah, one that we just saw online, not from us. Not from us.
So the top 5 for 4A is 1 Hammond, 2 Lawrence Manning, 3 Porter Gaud, 4 is Northwood Academy, and 5th is Cardinal Newman.
Yeah, you mentioned Jason Lawrence Manning losing a lot of players, no doubt. 24 plus seniors. That's a huge number at a smaller school, a SCISA school. But love what Coach Briggs brings to the table there. I think they'll be back and they'll be a contender again in the SCISA 4A ranks. Jerel, any thoughts from you on this 8-man through 4A SCISA season coming up here?
I'm an authority on SCISA football. Not at all. I'm just going to give you my championship prediction.
Come out of the background, Jerel. I don't like to see your ghost voice over there.
I like creeping in the shadows. Yeah, I'm just going to give you state title prediction or state champion. 4A going LMA. I don't care if they lost everybody. I like that.
Over Hammond?
Over Hammond. We're going to get the upset. Picking them over Hammond.
We got to put Jerel back behind the screen again. I don't
know. I pick on vibes. 3A, we're going Pinewood Prep. Love that. 2A going Orangeburg. 1A, we're going Williamsburg. That's an easier pick there. And then 8-man going JDA. Those are my picks.
I like it.
Don't ask me. Except for my 4A pick. Everybody can pick Hammond. We got to have an upset eventually, right?
It was close last year. A 7-point ball game in the title game.
Yeah.
Close ball game last year. But you or me, John.
Wow. Zach taking shots at me. Look at this.
Oh, no. Oh, no, Zach. Jason's Jerel, smart man. There you go. Hey, both sides of the coin, Jerel. Both sides of the coin.
There we
go. For me in 4A, I like Hammond a lot. It's hard not to pick them, man. You mentioned they lost a good bit of talent up front, but still a lot of playmakers back. Manny Johnson, Mike Tyler, Andrew Turner. I think Hammond, they win again, man. I think they make it 8 in a row, which is pretty wild to say.
I mean, with the talent level that they have, it's hard to believe that they wouldn't. You got to go Hammond there just for me, for the talent level that they have.
Yeah, looking down at 3A, this one is really intriguing to me. I don't know who my favorite is. Pinewood, I think, has a good chance. Hillman Christian has a good chance. But I like Trinity Collegiate. I think them coming down to 3A from 4A. Coach Amel does a great job there. I have a son at quarterback there. We mentioned James Herbert and the offensive line being a strength for them. I think the Titans win this 3A state title this year.
I want to go. I like Jerel's pick with Pinewood. I'm going to go Pinewood too.
I like it. Looking down at 2A, John, I gave you 3 names that I liked. Orangeburg Prep, Bethesda, PD Academy. A little bit handcuffed here. I'm going to go with the Golden Eagles. I think PD Academy wins this state title, makes it 2 out of 3 in different classes there. But I do think the Golden Eagles win this 2A state title this year.
I'm gonna stick with this. Is gonna be my boring pick. I'm gonna stick with Bethesda to repeat.
I like that. And then down in 1A, John, who do you like in this class?
It's got to be Williamsburg. I would love to see Dorchester Academy make a run at it, but I think if you got to pick, you got to go Williamsburg.
I think so too. I think Williamsburg. I do like Lee and Dorchester a lot. I'm a little bit worried about a lot of pieces they're replacing there. I like the Stallions, like they make a deep run. But I think a team to watch out for, though, is Buford Academy. I mentioned replacing a ton of offense, I think 3,000 yards of offense to replace. But they'll have it figured out by the time the season comes to a close, probably peaking at the right time there. But I do like Williamsburg there in 1A. And then an 8-man. I think it's Jefferson Davis. I like Lode Holt a bunch. I think they're the favorite. Obviously, last year we saw them and Holly Hill play for it, of course. And I think there's a good chance we get back to that same matchup again. But I do like JDA. I think they win the 8-man championship.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jefferson Davis, too. I'm going to trust them. They've got the 8-man game figured out again.
Perfect. Jerel, any comments or any thoughts from the chat we need to get to? Zach says 8 straight state titles. Any class is absurd. Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. It's crazy what they've done there. the Skyhawks have at Hammond.
And I just want to thank Allison for the support. Drew, one of our favorite players we've got to cover. Wish him the best as he goes on to bigger and better things.
For sure. He'll be at the Citadel playing some ball, so you have to keep up with him on Saturdays for sure. Anything else from the chat, from the comments? We need to circle back on from other classes or anything like that, John and Jerel. Jerel says, guys, it amazes me how y'all keep with all these schools. It amazes me sometimes too, man. I just pull things out of the steel trap that I didn't know were in there, which is great to have. Appreciate you, Bradley. Looking forward to having you in here for our 3A, 4A 5A preview later on this week. Mentioned it, John. We talked about SCISA, talked about 1A, talked about 2A tonight. If you guys tuned in late, it's still going to be here on our social pages later on. So definitely do that. Jerel, let's do one more shout out to our friends of the program before we wrap up here and get out of here for the night.
Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, CONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Go to kona.care to learn more.
At HTC, we're here to keep you connected. Here to provide reliable fiber optic internet with free, fast, and secure HTC Smart Wi-Fi. HTC, here to connect.
John, this has been a lot of fun tonight, talking through some of these lower classes here. Football is right around the corner. I guess it's probably, 11 days away. The 23rd is week 0, so we're right around the corner. Got jamborees this week, got scrimmages this week, man. So if you want to go see some football, I'm sure there's a great game, a great matchup somewhere around your area this Friday night. But, we'll be back later on this week. Not sure the night yet. Could be tomorrow. Not exactly sure about our 4A, 5A, 3A preview. We'll definitely post it on Facebook and social media so you guys will know when that goes live. So you can check it out. I ask you guys this every week. Please, please, please share the video, like it, subscribe, tell your friends. We're trying to grow this thing. And John, we say it every year, every week. I feel like it's a lot more fun when there's more folks in here who are giving us comments, giving us their thoughts. I love reading that from you guys. We see X number of teams per year. We don't get to see everybody. We really don't. And you guys do. So it's great to hear from you guys about your favorite squad. Love to talk about that. So definitely get your friends in here, get your family in here, get your community in here, share it, like us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. We've got a lot of great videos coming out, more season preview stuff. We got our food review Fridays coming back from the concession stands. Those are a lot of fun to watch every week. Got some more player interviews coming out. So a lot of really good graphics, a lot of really good content coming your way as the season gets rolling. Drew, any final thoughts from you or any final thoughts from you here, John, before we pop out here for the night?
I wish it wasn't so far away.
It's like riding a bike. You guys killed it. First show back. No rust whatsoever. I've been told today that I need to stay in the shadows because I don't pick the right teams, and that's been a lot of fun. I hope Dadrian gets to listen to this. We have burned bridges in Clinton tonight and Louisville. We did
Louisville. I like Louisville.
Not as high on the Lions as we were last year. Yeah. So
I had them right there in the upper state. Had them right there in the upper state.
But you didn't have them all the way there. So we'll see what happens. That's why I like doing this, and I love it. We get to start playing games. We get to play it out on the field.
Us too. It's preseason for us too. We can make mistakes. It's okay, Drew. We got a long season to go. Season to go, man, for sure. But like I mentioned, check us out. All social media platforms, Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS, website movingchains.com, podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be on there as well. So appreciate you guys as always. As always, get your merch. Get your hats, get your toboggans, get your hoodies. Support us, support the boys. Love to have you guys in here. It's a great crowd tonight. I'm sure we'll have a bigger crowd for the bigger classes here in a couple nights. But appreciate you guys as always. For Jerel Hendricks, for John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our 2A, 1A, and SCISA season preview show, and we'll talk to you guys soon.